Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James. Second. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Another one.
What an intro.
What an intro. Oh, man. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another installment of the Block the Shot to Stop, our Cleveland Cavalier podcast brought to you by the wonderful people over at Blue Wire Podcast Network, where we discuss, you guessed it, the 14-0 Cleveland Cavaliers.
How about it?
How about it? Tim Daniel tonight here with Kevin Lynch. The man on the heater, being Skylar Webker, is not with us tonight, but he is not missing. Not missing right now. Has hit all three of his picks this week. He has taken that luck I had the first few games, and he has rolled with this. He took Donovan Mitchell tonight to be the leading scorer in the game at plus 140. So I hope you really place that bet, Skylar, so you get to reap your benefits.
And I'm pretty sure, if my count's correct, I don't know if anybody else is counting, this puts us back over 500 for the year.
Sure does.
I believe we're 8-6 now.
8-6, baby.
Hey, you're making money. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, and then people say we don't know how to bet.
One person in particular, but
but hey, we will take it. So the Cavs open tonight, their first game in the Emirates NBA Cup, and they will be, after tonight's victory over the Bulls, they will be in second place due to point differential, and of course the fact that the Atlanta Hawks have played one more game than they have, and the Hawks are putting it on the Wizards right now. So as we are recording, so Kevin. A historic first quarter tonight for the Cleveland Cavaliers with 49 points, a franchise record for most points in a quarter. And in the first quarter, this is like insane. This is NBA 2K on rookie. They shot 86% as a team from the floor in the quarter.
I was watching this game with a buddy. Shout out Gavin Slate and his old fashions that I've had tonight. This is my bourbon episode. But like him and I turned to each other and I'm like, have they missed a shot yet? Like at the end of the first quarter, neither of us could remember a missed shot. And that's when I had to look it up and saw in our text chain. I'm like, they're at 86%. I think they missed their last shot too. So I think they're at 90 with like 30 seconds to go in the first quarter. Incredible offensive display without Evan Mobley, who's arguably the best player this year.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that jumps out the most about this game, right? Is no Mobley. And you could definitely see it defensively in stretches. But the fact that they were able to do this without Mobley, without Merrill as well, and still kind of get the points they did was incredible. Just the way that I know we've talked about this all year, their ability to move the ball, to find the open man, to make the extra pass, to do all the little things. And I mean, look, you can look at this game tonight, particularly. The Bulls were really good tonight.
I know.
And the Cavs still found a way to beat them by 18.
There is no way. Admittedly, I have not watched a lot of Bulls basketball this year. I've actually probably tried to avoid it a bit, but there is no way the Bulls are playing this well every game that they have played as well as they played against the Cavs twice this week.
Honestly, they are playing this well. They are pretty good. They are if you look at their roster, it's a good roster, which is the problem for the Bulls, which is what I keep talking about. But that's not why you guys are here. So obviously, hey man, check this out. So this guy who just made a comment, this is Justin Barth. Justin worked with me at Lids for many of years. So he's in the Cleveland area. He's a big Cavs fan. We talk to Cavs all the time. So I know he's having a blast right now watching this and excited you came to join us. So welcome, JB. It's good to hear from you, man. It's really cool to meet up with old friends via podcasting.
Welcome, Justin. Happy to have you.
Yeah. So, the first quarter, they just go bananas. And you're like, all right, cool. Second quarter, they calm down a little bit. The Bulls make a little bit of a run. Some of the shots Kobe White's making are insanity, man. His improvement, he should have been most improved player last year. 1,000% should have been most improved player. The fact he didn't get it was crap. But some of the things he did to keep the Bulls in the game. They shot the ball so well from three, and Cleveland had a really hard time defending it. And a lot of that, like I said, is no Mobley, who probably is, you can make the case, as your best perimeter defender on top of your best in the paint defender as well.
Right.
And the Bulls took advantage of that. LaVine was really good tonight as well. And then they get to halftime, have a decent lead. And this has kind of been the trouble quarter for the Cavs throughout the year, which is hard to say when you're 14-0. I understand. But you've seen teams kind of close the gap a little bit in the third quarter with this team. And look, I'm going to go ahead and say a lot of that's probably 14 games in 24 days. So yeah. I'm not going to go ahead and say like they're a bad basketball team. That's not my intent at all. In the fourth quarter, it's a little back and forth. Bulls take a lead at one point and Cleveland takes over, and Mitchell, LeVert, and Garland just start doing the things they do. So, Kevin, I know that I normally ask you this question the other show on your show, NBA Weekly.
Which is our show, but thank you.
Which is a really fun listen. NBA.com's MVP letter came out today and had Donovan Mitchell at 9th. He has to be higher than 9th, right?
You would think so. He's being penalized by the Cavs not needing him to be Superman every night.
Yeah.
And just how collectively good the Cavs have been. His stats might not look quite as good as some other guys, but he has obviously contributed to winning as much as anybody in the NBA.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, his team doesn't lose. So whereas the other teams, I mean, the Denver's definitely turned a corner, and they're turning the corner because of Jokic. I mean, otherwise they're pretty brutal. Anthony Davis has been amazing. I mean, you can't take it away. He had another awesome game tonight. The Lakers just barely getting by the Spurs. And it was pretty nuts. Yeah. Sydney brings this up. Tristan Thompson not only got minutes tonight, got a bucket.
Look at him.
Yeah.
Who knew Tristan Thompson could still put the ball in the basket? Good for you, Tristan. We needed it.
I don't know if Tristan Thompson knew he could still put the ball in the basket.
I was wondering what they were going to do. And if we just want to hop into the game a little bit,
sure.
We were texting when we found out Mobley was out, and I said, eventually you knew him or Allen was going to miss a game. And I was really interested to see what the rotations would be when that happened, because they were exclusively, the two bigs. And the answer was they tried Tristan Thompson for a while, and he was fine. He was fine. In the second half, they went small when Allen didn't play, and to mixed results, I guess. But most importantly, I mean, we'll definitely talk about Donovan Mitchell. He was phenomenal tonight.
Yeah.
But the guy who was under the most pressure had to have a good game was Jared Allen with Evan Mobley out. He had to stay out of foul trouble. He had to play smart, and he did. He to the tune of 24 points, 10 rebounds, 11 of 15 shooting, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Phenomenal. Played 36 minutes, and 2 days ago he was iffy with a gimpy ankle. So I think he is kind of where you want to start as far as contributing to the win tonight, because they needed him. They had to have him. He was the guy. They could not have won this game if he wasn't good. And he was better than good. He was great tonight.
He was great, especially because you kind of seen him I wouldn't say take a step back these past few games. Like you said, part of it's the injury, but there were a couple of games where he's having 4 or 5 points, but he's still getting 9-10 rebounds and a couple of blocks. The fact that tonight he stepped up so much and really elevated the paint for not having Mobley. And we'll get to George Niang here in a second too. I thought he was tremendous as well. Yeah. But what they got from Jared Allen tonight in a game like this, where he's guarding Vooch, and for those who aren't keeping up with the Bulls like Kevin, Vooch has been really good this year. Like, Vooch is legit. Like, when I joke about the Bulls being too good for what they're wanting to do, it's true. Like, LaVine, Vooch, and Kobe White have all been way too good for their goals.
Yeah, and I wanted to point out that was definitely something I noticed. Vooch had a great game. Don't want to take any credit away from him, but he was the biggest beneficiary of Mobley being out, because if you notice, they didn't want to play Jared Allen on Vooch because they couldn't have Jared Allen get in foul trouble.
Yeah.
So Vooch was getting guarded by a much smaller guy, whether it was Niang or Wade or even some of the guards on mismatches. And in response, he had a very good game. All credit to him. But that was, again, just something I noticed the effects of. This is the first time one of the big four have missed a game. And so really wanted to see the effects of that. And, the Cavs, but again, to Cavs and to Kenny Atkinson, we always sing his praises. He was willing to let Vooch have a little bit better game and have mismatches, because the greater good was they needed Jared Allen to play 36 minutes and stay out of foul trouble. And that's what happened.
Yeah, it was tremendous, man. So give kudos to the Fro. Happy to see him doing his thing offensively. Hopefully Mobley's back for Charlotte on Sunday. We'll get to that game here in a second. Fun Charlotte team that we're going to talk about before we get out of the show tonight. Yeah, I want to talk about Garland. Obviously, I want to talk about Mitchell, but I kind of mentioned it for a second there. When Evan Mobley's down, George Niang's the one that has to come in and handle business. And, dude, was awesome tonight. Was so good. So 14 and 8 in 25 minutes. 4 of 7 from 3, obviously where he contributed the most. And was a +7. But you mentioned it. He had to guard Vooch tonight. He had to kind of he had Patrick Williams on him, and Patrick Williams is for everything Patrick Williams is not, man-to-man defense is what he's really good at.
Mm-hmm.
And George was able to stretch the floor on him. And that's where Patrick Williams is normally a pretty solid perimeter defender and did not have that tonight. So because George was was doing so well shooting the 3 and just did a great job filling the gaps, was a really good screener tonight, kind of making plays for Garland and Mitchell to kind of get in the paint. And it was just a really, really solid performance overall. I know people aren't going to freak out over 14 and 8, but if you watched how George played tonight, he was everywhere this team needed him to be.
Yeah, he was. And admittedly, we've talked in this podcast. I won't say which of us said this quote, but we questioned George Niang being an NBA player because he had the same body type as one of us does. So, but he honestly, he's been really good the whole year. And he's one of the guys we've talked about the least, but he has really been a solid contributor. And, I don't know if it's because, watching him in spurts when he's with the Sixers and with other teams, I just wasn't very impressed. But now seeing him night to night contribute, especially contribute in the ways that the Cavs need him to, playing, against bigger guys and playing power forward and, even tonight playing some center, was really, really, really good. Very impressed by him tonight.
Yeah, me too, man. He was absolutely awesome and just exactly what they needed from that spot, especially just kind of taking advantage of those Mobley minutes. You're taking a step back defensively there, obviously. But what he brought to the team, probably pretty similar in offensive production to what Mobley's done for most parts this year. I mean, he's had some big 20-plus games, but you take those games all the time. Where should we go from here, man? There's 3 other guys we really got to talk about. I don't know if I want to kind of close out with Mitchell. So you want to go Garland or you want to go LeVert?
Let's go LeVert and just the whole bench and touch on the bench a little bit, led by LeVert. LeVert was definitely the key contributor tonight. 22 points, 8 assists, absolutely phenomenal. Played some really good defense, just so much playmaking coming from him.
Yeah.
Playing, again, another guy who played a little bit bigger than he's used to, maybe playing up a position with Mobley being out and really contributing there. I mean, he was plus 18 off the bench and just thought he was phenomenal. He, in particular, had a really good fourth quarter between him and Mitchell. They're the two that took over that fourth quarter and made the run to finally pull the Cavs away from the Bulls. But the whole bench, tonight, the bench was a little bit shorter. Tristan Thompson played and Craig Porter Jr. played each about 4 or 5 minutes. But they mostly played 8 guys tonight where they've been playing at least 10. So everyone kind of took a step up in minutes. Ty Jerome, another really solid game. TJ Maxx, 7, 4, and 4. Thought he was just really, really solid. And while the numbers aren't the best, I really liked the game that Dean Wade played tonight.
Me too.
I thought that was his best game since he came back from missing a couple. Even if the stats didn't show it, he was just super active and involved and made some really big defensive plays in the fourth quarter. And it showed because he ended up being in the closing lineup where I didn't necessarily expect him to be tonight, but I thought he was really, really good as well. And And yeah, and I'll I guess close out my thoughts with Garland and let you go to Mitchell. But like Garland, just another phenomenal game. The guy is just so. I hate to make I don't like making comparisons in general, especially comparisons that could be unfair to a young guy and everything. But like, he's just looking more and more like Kyrie.
Isn't
he really is.
I thought the
like
same thing.
The ball handling and the speed to get back past guys, the ability to hit open threes, like he really is turning into like the younger version of Kyrie. Kyrie 4 or 5 years in with the Cavs, and man, he, like you said a couple episodes ago, I there's multiple guys on the team that could be most improved player. Garland would probably be comeback player after just having a year from hell last year, with everything, and then coming back to be even better than he was, 2 years ago when he was an all-star. Really, really impressive, and just another guy that really showed out tonight.
Man, you aren't kidding. So another game for Garland with 29 and 9, 9 of 18 from the floor, 4 of 7 from 3, all 7 free throws made. Did have 5 turnovers, but you expect that in games like this. And, as long as you're plus in the turnover differential, that's fine with me. He was still a +4. So as your point guard, you could ask for that more. And I also saw somewhere where he is now hit multiple times. So if you're betting for first basket of the game, I guess he's become a pretty reliable bet wager. So I'll have to keep that in mind for Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't know. LaMelo Ball's tall, so that's probably who's going to be guarding him. But we'll see how that goes. But yeah, man, just the things that Garland's able to do, not just the fact of making plays and the way the passes he's making. He's having this end around passes to get to the ball to Allen and Mobley in the paint most of the time. The way he's finding guys in the corner, and it's just been really fascinating. And we know he's obviously not a dunker, but his ability to get to the rim, like you said, it's Kyrie-esque. Maybe not as good of a finisher as Kyrie, obviously. I don't know anyone that is.
Right.
But still the tendencies that he has and still the ability to kind of get there and get past people bigger than him, contest people at the rim that are going to block his shot, that are guys the size of like Patrick Williams and Vucevic and guys like that. Just super impressive. What we've gotten from him is they probably thought he'd be really good this year. I don't know if they thought he was going to be this good.
Yeah. Now, and maybe this is where we transition in a second, Garland and Mitchell are probably 2 of the top 5 guys in terms of burst while they're dribbling, like how quickly they can get someone to the basket. And it really shows. And you're right, nobody finishes like Kyrie, but Garland's doing a lot more finishing with his offhand this year.
That's so impressive.
And not only finishing, but like the Cavs had 21 threes tonight. How many of those were on kickouts off of Mitchell or Garland penetration? Probably quite a few. So he's blowing by people, making the defense collapse, and then finding the open shooter. And thought if it wasn't for Donovan Mitchell, might have been the player of the game.
Yeah, would have been for sure. So let's talk about Donovan Mitchell.
Sure.
All right. So making his case to get his second Eastern Conference Player of the Week in 3 weeks. Are we going to get the voter fatigue like we did for the MVP? Are they just going to make sure a Cavs guard doesn't get it next week? I don't know who's going to be able to take it from him. But another 30-point game. The fact that both these guys have completely outplayed White, I shouldn't say completely, that's not fair. The fact that they have outplayed White and LaVine twice this week, who are 2 really good players. I know you and I have different opinions on Zach LaVine, but I'm telling you, the discourse is finally going to his favor. I don't know. I guess you can consider he wasn't very good tonight, but I guess people might consider Josh Giddey and Kobe White to be the backcourt now, but I refuse to acknowledge Josh Giddey. But Mitchell tonight, and I talked about this the other night with Skylar. The thing that's jumping out to me the most about Donovan Mitchell, and I understand a lot of it are longer rebounds, but 20 rebounds in 2 games.
Right.
For a 6'2" with shoes on guard, who is just going to be able to shoot so well. He blocked a shot tonight. I mean, he was all over the place. And of course, the 37 points where it was like, you've mentioned it, and we've all talked about it, where you don't need Donovan Mitchell every single night to put the game to Dima's back and put it away. They probably didn't even need it tonight, but he still managed to give it to them. And what he's doing right now for this team, I think right now, you can make the case he's been the best player in the East so far this year. and shocking considering who his teammates are and how well they're playing. But what he's bringing right now is second to none. And this is another thing where when the Cavs traded for Donovan Mitchell, I think they thought, okay, we have an all-star. We have a superstar. I don't know if they thought we have a perennial MVP candidate.
I'm with you, and he is, and the kind of what has impressed me the most, like he's always done so many things so well. The burst to get to the basket, and the 3-point shooting, particularly off the dribble. This year, not to say he hasn't always been able to do this, but just I think he's taken another step with it. Is the jump shooting off of movement, like almost Steph Curry-esque, like where he is being willing to play a little bit more off the ball, go off a screen, relocate, and shoot threes like off of where his feet aren't even set when he catches the ball. And he's turning into, like, again, always a great scorer, always a great shooter, but I think he's like getting up to like becoming one of the best jump shooters in the league.
Yeah, I completely agree. What he's able to do has just been really awesome. Skylar is hanging out on his off night. Shout out him. Can Mitchell and the Cavs beat the media bias to win an MVP? Beating the media bias would be tricky, but the trajectory they're on right now, you look like the ceiling's probably 65 wins, I would say. Like
82.
we talked. Yeah. Obviously, yes. But I think that he certainly is in the conversation, man. I mean, it's hard to argue against him.
I agree with you. If the Cavs play, close to this well and gets that 65 win mark, let's be honest, the MVP often goes to the best guy on one of the best teams in the league, right? And so if the Cavs are one of the best teams in the league, that increases not only Mitchell, but everyone's opportunity to get awards at the end of the season. And Mitchell right now, I looked it up because we were talking about his jump shooting, career high in 3-point percentage. Like he's at like 40, 41, 42 a game after tonight. And the only real thing that more than the media bias that could hurt Donovan Mitchell is how good all of his teammates are playing and that he's not needed.
And I don't think he cares about that at all.
I don't think so either. So I think it'll come down to if he plays as well as he's playing and the Cavs play as well as they're playing, and he's going to be in the running for MVP. He's going to be in the running for first team NBA. The league is loaded in guards, but I take him over just about anybody the first 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. So now they're at 14-0. Here are the other teams in the last 80 years have gone 14-0 or better, and how they finished the year. The 58 Boston Celtics went 14-0, lost in the finals. The 2003 Dallas Mavericks went 14-0, lost in the conference finals. The 1949 Capitals went 15-0, lost in the finals. The 94 Rockets started 15-0, they won the title. The 2016 Warriors, who we've talked about multiple times already, 24-0, and of course, are the reason that we have the name of our podcast with that season. So, really nice company. And right now, the Cavs are listed at plus 1,800 to win the NBA title. I feel like that is worth even a hedge. So,
yeah. It's awesome. It's such an awesome start to the season. And the biggest thing, and we talked about this on the NBA Weekly podcast that came out this morning. You got to keep riding this wave as long as possible. Of course, they're going to lose eventually, but like you're creating a little bit of a gap between you and Boston. The Cavs are to get the number 1 seed, and that's the most important thing. But almost as importantly is the gap you're creating between them and the 3rd place team, to where it can become a no-brainer that they're going to be a top 2 seed. Along with that, I think it was very encouraging tonight that they won a game without one of the big 4. The injuries have been crazy around the NBA this year.
They have, yeah.
The Cavs obviously have missed a couple guys here and there, but like have been about as healthy as anybody, particularly with their top players. And the fact that, no Evan Mobley, who is absolutely crucial to everything the Cavs want to do. And they could still, for as good a game as it was, and as good as the Bulls played, in the end, it was an 18-point win.
Yep. So now to update the standings so far on the NBA Cup and East Group C, they are now in second place behind Atlanta, 1-0. Atlanta's 2-0, but had the point differential to get a plus 18, where Atlanta has a plus 13. So these are important things in the Cup. If you're kind of following along and are a total nerd about this like I am, these are the kind of things to take a look at. So things are trajecting up. Obviously, we know what Tuesday is, but we have one more game before that. It's not a Cup game, and that's this Sunday when they play the Charlotte Hornets. And the Hornets are going to be coming off a back-to-back, Kevin, where they are going to be at home on tomorrow, hosting the 4-8 Milwaukee Bucks, and then right after that have to come to Cleveland. So I don't know how you feel about this Charlotte Hornets team, but they're fun to watch for me. They have a ton of talent. LaMelo Ball has been really good this year, 36-5. And Brandon Miller is one of my favorites. And then they have my man Trey Mann out there rocking the old. He's got everything but the Reebok contract at this point. But are also a team that is very susceptible to defense. And what I mean by susceptible, they don't play any. And so they're coming off of a 114-89 loss to Orlando. They have a lot of young talent. They're a team that's kind of getting better and better by the day, but a team that, again, if you look at on paper, you feel pretty good about the Cavs' chances. I mean, I know Trey Mann hasn't missed a free throw yet this year, which is kind of cool. If you keep them off the line, you feel really good because they have multiple guys shooting over 83%. And like I said, LaMelo Ball's definitely been really, really good this year. But I feel pretty confident about Sunday. Also, the new Blue City jerseys debut that night. The new court debuts that night. And I actually have an off day that night.
Couldn't ask for more than that. I am also confident for Sunday. I do think Charlotte has some fun young players to play that play for them. At the same time, the Charlotte Hornets start Taj Gibson in 2024.
Yes.
The Cavs should not lose to a team that's starting Taj Gibson in 2024. So, the Cavs, I mean, they match up well against anyone in the NBA, but this team that they're playing with, kind of younger, inexperienced wings, and then, being honest, not quite as much talent on the inside that the Cavs have.
Yeah.
You have to, and them coming off of back-to-back, you have to feel good. Like you said before, this is the NBA. Anybody can beat anybody, but Sunday is a game. You feel very confident as long as the Cavs approach it seriously, take the game seriously, like they have every game this season. You feel really good about them extending it to 15-0, entering Boston on Tuesday night.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also still sounds like Charlotte's waiting to get Nick Richards back. So that makes you feel even better.
Skylar messaged us and said he's still in the league. I'm assuming that's to my Taj Gibson comments. It's amazing.
Yes. Well, he was out of the league. He was fine. And then all of a sudden he gets the call to go to Charlotte.
I don't understand, because he's been out of the league 3 or 4 times, and Tibbs keeps bringing him back. Like, Tibbs isn't even the Hornets coach. How is he even there, and how's he starting?
Yeah, exactly. And then I know a lot of people really like this new coach they have, Charles Lee.
Yeah,
he's a guy that people are really high on. And so they are 25th in the league in scoring. They are 19th in pace, and they're 26th in offensive rating. So I had it backwards. They're actually not terrible defensively. They just can't put the ball in the bucket. They're 15th in the league in defensive rating right now. Net rating is 24th overall. So, and then you feel good about the fact that they're coming on. You have the night off. They're coming on a back-to-back where they're playing Giannis. Dame did not make the trip with his concussion, so he's not going to be playing for Milwaukee tomorrow. But I think that, they're probably going to exhaust a lot of energy in that Milwaukee game, and they have to come to Cleveland right after and play a team who gets a day's rest. Probably won't practice tomorrow, I assume, the Cavs. Haven't seen any reports to say otherwise. But, yeah, I think this is a nice W. You look at 15-0 before the big one on Tuesday.
Yeah, and as we're kind of getting towards wrapping up here, I wanted to, because you were talking about the Hornets' defensive numbers and everything. The Cavs, just because we haven't specifically called this out, have the best offense in the NBA, and it's not that close. The Cavs are averaging, after tonight, I think it's like a full 2 points more per game than anyone else in the NBA. They're going to be at right about 124 after tonight. The next highest is 121.3, Boston. So they're going to be, they're about 2.5 points above any other team as far as points per game. It's just so incredibly impressive. And again, I know we've talked about this before, but it's worth talking about again. The Cavs just continue to play so well as a team and move the ball so well and pass up good shots or great shots all the time. And that is how you get the best offense in the league. And that is how you set a franchise record for most points in a quarter tonight.
Yeah. And they're 7th in the league in pace. Yeah. While they're doing this, they are number 1 in true shooting by 4% over the Celtics.
Yeah.
And I think they're like middle of the pack in 3-point shots.
Yeah. They're so incredibly efficient and have so many contributions coming from everywhere on the roster. It's a tough team to stop. Like he said, again, Evan Mobley didn't play tonight. He has been about as good. He's been about as good a big man as any big man in the Eastern Conference this season. Mm-hmm. And they scored 144 points without him. And he has been he's been a great defender his whole career. He's been a real key to the offense this year. And to perform that well offensively without such a key cog in what you do just shows you how good this team really is.
Yeah, I saw right now he's 2nd in projection for most improved player.
Yeah.
So, which I think we kind of suspected that would be the case. But how we feel about that. All right. Well, before we get out of here, I want to give a quick shout out. Skylar has been doing some great business transactions for us here at the Block the Shot to Stop, and got us hooked up with a gentleman by the name of Miles O'Malley, who, if you follow on social media, is doing all these really cool Cavs graphics on a night-to-night basis, celebrating the wins, and has really cool drawings. Really, really talented guy. And I think we got consent that we're gonna be able to use his stuff on our thumbnails and things like that for the future. So thank you for that, Miles. We're definitely excited to be working with you. And shout out to Skylar, Josh, striking up that relationship. Definitely worth a follow. Let me go ahead and I'll put that up on the screen if anyone. I don't know. I don't know if he's on my neck of the social media world anymore. Now that I'm not over on the other one, on the bad guy site. But make sure I get this here. So there's the account if you want to give that a follow. The art is really cool. It's really, really impressive. So make sure we get that out there as well. But yeah, other than that, before we take way too long, it's Friday. We're 14-0. We're talking about a really fun team. The Cavs are awesome. And Kevin and I had a lot of fun. Skylar's had a lot of fun. I am going to go enjoy my weekend and just chill, put my feet up, watch a movie or 10. I don't know. I got lots to catch up on.
You should enjoy your night off Sunday. We got our normal post-game show on Sunday, and we are going to do a little bit more extensive preview for that Cavs Boston game on Tuesday, because it's going to be one of the biggest games in the NBA this season. I know it's just a regular season game. Win or lose, the season goes on, but I'm really interested to see how this version of the Cavs matches up against the world champions.
Me too. And then after that, the Cavs have a break. They got a couple days off.
Right.
Kind of amazing because they've literally played every other day, just about. So I'm sure those guys are definitely gonna be appreciative to hopefully be 16-0 going into their couple days off, and they definitely deserve it for how well and how hard they've played through the year. With that being said, we're gonna go and close out tonight. Thank you guys for hanging out. As always, we're having a lot of fun. We're seeing the growth on a night-to-night basis with this, and we're very, very grateful that you guys are hopping on board with us. Whether you're a longtime Cavs fan or you're like Kevin and I and you kind of got struck by it and you fell in love with it and you're enjoying it every night, we're happy to have you guys hanging out with us every night. So thank you so much. Have a good one. And Kevin and Skylar, we'll see you on Sunday.
Thank you. Go Cavs.